Hello, this is Oliver from Brothers in Dice channel. Today I'm gonna show you how I painted Alpharius, the Primarch of Alpha Legion from Forge World. Regarding the base, I did not glue the half just to make it possible to disassemble the model later on. I let the backpack, head and cloak unglued to the model to make my life easier with painting later on. For the base color, I used mixture of deep dark green from Vallejo mixed with Greyish blue from Vallejo. I sprayed basically all the armor parts with this mixture and followed with pure greyish blue, which I sprayed from the top of the model to simulate the zenithal light. I did so on all armor parts as well. Right after I had finished the priming, I used Leadbelcher from Citadel and paint all the edges of the armor. Once this was done, I used mixture of Nuln Oil shade and Leviathan Purple wash from Citadel and washed all the edges of the armor. Once the edges were washed, I used pure Leviathan Purple and washed the dragon scale-like surface of the armor. Later on, I highlighted the scales on the armor with deep dark green from Vallejo mixed with skull white from Citadel. For the leather parts on the armor, I used Khemri Brown from Citadel as a base color. Washed all these parts with Agrax Earthshade. Once I've done that, I continued with the spear and all the metallic parts were painted with Leadbelcher from Citadel. The handles of the spear was painted with Waagh Flesh, and I used the same color for the dragons on the backpack. Once I've done that, I continued with the blades on the spear, which I painted with Rhinox Hide and dry brushed with Leadbelcher. At this stage, the spear was basically primed with all the colors, and I continued with washing, first with Agrax Earthshade. The blades were washed with Leviathan Purple. For all the remaining metal parts of the model, like grenades and the pins, I used Leadbelcher. For the plasma coils, I used Dwarf Bronze. Basically, I washed all the metallic parts with Agrax Earthshade. Next step was a loincloth, which I painted with a mixture of Khemri Brown and Mordian Blue from Citadel Foundation. Once I have painted the loincloth, I continued with washing the dragon chain on the loincloth with Agrax Earthshade. After I washed the loincloth, I continued with highlights on all the leather parts on the model. And for that I used mixture of Khemri Brown and Skull White from Citadel. At this point I switched to the backpack and washed the dragon heads with Nuln Oil from Citadel. Once I washed the dragon heads, I switched back to the model and continued with the chain parts. I used Waagh Flesh and washed it with Nuln Oil. As soon as the wash was dried, I highlighted the chains with a mixture of Waagh Flesh and Goblin Green. I used the same mixture to highlight the dragon heads on the backpack. At this point, I kinda finished the model. There are just a little few details necessary to finish. So I jumped to the cloak and primed it with a mixture of black and Xereus Prple from Citadel. I added a drop of airbrush thinner. After that, I airbrushed the cloak with the desert sand from Vallejo Air. I sprayed the cloak from the top position just to create a natural highlights. At the end, I added just a little touch with pure white on the most exposed areas on the cloak. With a finished cloak, let's switch to the base. I used engine grey as a base for the space wolf lying on the base. I added light grey for the zenithal light on the marine. I painted his shoulder pad with Mephiston Red mixed with Abaddon Black, simply just to follow the basic scheme on the space wolves for pre-heresy. All the metallic parts were painted with Leadbelcher and washed with either Agrax Earthshade or Nuln Oil. Regarding the stones or the rocks on the bases, I primed them with Rhinox Hide. I've done that by hand just to make sure I won't spray the lying marine. I added a touch of flat brown from Vallejo on the rocks and dry brushed the rocks with Fortress Grey from Citadel. I painted the line bolter with Leadbelcher washed with Agrax Earthshade, and the cases were painted with shining gold. To finish the dying marine, I used Tamyia X27 Clear Red to illustrate the blood. I used standard black from Vallejo to paint the interior of the base. One of the last things on the model is the gemstones on his helmet, and I used blazing orange mixed with skull white. The very last thing is the dragon pattern on the cloak. I mixed Goblin Green with Abaddon Black. Okay guys, that's about it. This was the tutorial how I painted the Alpharius from Alpha Legion. I hope you liked the video. I will come up with more tutorials of interesting models in the future, so if you like to see more stuff like that, just subscribe and give us a like. Thank you and bye bye.